They continue to celebrate more than 150 years of community service by offering a broad range of free and low-cost public science programming, collaborative seminars, seminar series, and trips and tours highlighting science at venues throughout the region. And you can get more information about the Academy and their upcoming community-wide events and programs at their website, which is www.academyofsciencestl.org. So for tonight, we thought we'd shift gears a bit, and instead of looking at the past, we're looking at the future of technology related to physical disability. And to help us with this, we're joined by Dr. Eric Leuthardt, who's the Assistant Professor of Neurological Surgery and Biomedical Engineering at Washington University, and also the Director of the Center for Innovation in Neurosciences and Technology. He received his BS in Biology and Theology from St. Louis University and his doctorate from the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine. In 2004, he was awarded the university's James O'Leary Prize for Outstanding Neuroscience Research. He's the recipient of the American Academy of Neurological Surgery's Annual Award, one of the highest recognitions in his field. He was named one of the top young innovators by MIT's Technology Review magazine. And in 2007, he received the Academy of Science St. Louis Outstanding St. Louis Scientist Innovation Award for his work with BCI. He has numerous patents on file with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office for medical devices and brain-computer interface technologies. And Dr. Leuthart's clinical interests include neuro-oncology, brain tumors requiring motor and speech mapping, surgical treatment of epilepsy, gamma knife, and spine surgery. His research interests are centered around neuroprosthetics devices linked to the brain that may lead to cures for paralysis, allow patients to move artificial limbs, or restore other neurological functions. He's here tonight to talk about the future of brain-computer interfaces and the promise they hold for improving the quality of life for individuals who are cognitively intact but motor impaired. So he'll explain a little bit about human brain signals, how those signals are decoded, and how the world might change when we can control devices with just our thoughts. So on behalf of the Missouri History Museum and the Academy of Science St. Louis, please join me in welcoming tonight's presenter, Dr. Eric Leuthardt.
Can you both hear me? Yeah. So first off, let me thank you all for coming this evening. Thank the Academy of Science for inviting me to speak. It's a real privilege to be here and tell you about stuff that I feel passionate about. And I'm happy to answer your questions either during or after the talk. So again, thank you very much. So to start off with, so the title of the talk is Mind Over Matter, the Future of Brain-Computer Interface. So I want to talk about how does the world change if we can understand what the brain does and utilize that for various types of technology. More specifically with the idea of brain-computer interfaces. Let me introduce that. Let me introduce that with a little movie clip here. We could switch to the. So this is a movie. I don't know if you remember from last year, but it kind of struck a nerve with me, unintended. But this is the movie Surrogates. I don't know if you remember any of you seen that movie. It's a sci-fi movie. I'm kind of nerdy, so I like this type of stuff. But the idea was, I'm going to let it play out. interpretations. There's some nice drama, some nice murder stories here. But that's just science fiction, right? Right? That can't really happen. That doesn't really work. Well, what happens if it's true? What happens if we can tap into the brain and we can decode those signals and we can use those to control machines? How does it work? How does it change for the better? How does it change for the worse? And what can we do with it? So I want to introduce you to this idea of neuroprosthetics. And another term that you hear a lot is brain-computer interface, or BCI. Another term is BMI, brain-machine interface. Neurorobotics is another term. And basically, what a brain-computer interface or neuroprosthetic is some type of device that can monitor and decode the electrical signals of the user's thoughts and convert that information into some type of overt machine. That's the technical definition. So let's just walk through this. So we're taking some type of signal from the brain. There's a number of ways that we can do that. I'll talk about that in just a moment. I'll talk about these signals. There's EEG, ECOG. That's kind of my little niche right there. Single unit system. Turns it into a computer language, zeros and ones, digitized language. And then, whoops, wrong button. And then has a computer analyze that digital language and convert it to some type of machine output. And the whole point of that is that we are decoding some information from the brain such that it reflects the intentions, the thoughts of that user for some overt device control. And the idea is that if you can do that, you can kind of wiretap the brain, you can control some overt type of device. And the reason that I do this stuff as a neurosurgeon is that it can potentially help people with severe motor disabilities. If you have an injured spinal cord, or if you have Lou Gehrig's disease, your muscles and nerves don't work anymore, or if you even have a stroke, that you can basically short circuit this, go around the deficit, and allow your thoughts to control some and interact with your external environment. Okay? But that's kind of one version of a brain-computer interface. You're basically taking signals out of the brain and doing something with your environment. Now, another reason that I get excited about as a neurosurgeon, because a lot of what I do is I treat patients with brain tumors. And part of surgery is taking out that tumor, but also at the same time preserving function. You don't want to hurt the person. The Hippocratic oath, the first order is do no harm. And so one of the things that I'm very interested in also is identifying and mapping brain functions such as speech cortex and motor cortex so that we can avoid it during surgical resection. And so kind of the opposite of a brain-computer interface, brain to the world, is using those brain signals to go back to the brain so we can do a better job of doing brain surgery. Okay? So we're going to talk about each of those, kind of going out and going in, and what are some of the implications of that. And then I'll give you the kind of the long view of what I think all this means for the future. So ultimately, brain-computer interfaces and brain mapping rely on our ability to understand how the brain encodes information. How does the brain put information together? How can we decode it? And that's kind of a common term when we talk about decoding function. Not just kind of localization, as we talked about in the past, like where does the brain, for instance, process speech, or but how does it do it, and what is the actual information? So not just we know that this person is moving their arm and it's located here, but where do they want to move their arm? How do they want to move their arm? Or for instance, speech. We know that speech areas are located here. We want to go beyond that. I want to know what you're saying and what you're thinking. Okay. So first off, brain signals and applications for brain-computer interfaces. Signals coming out. So let's talk about signals. What kind of brain signals do we look at? And well, kind of here, just a very brief anatomy lesson. So most of the processing that goes on in the brain is done in the cortex. It's also referred to as brain matter. Basically, it's the kind of 1 centimeter thickness, folded outer surface of the brain. There's different lobes: the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the occipital lobe, and that brain surface is covered by a membrane that's called the dura. The dura mater, which in Latin means tough mud. It's kind of a tough, rubbery surface. That's covered by the skull, and then that's covered by the scalp. Now, there's different places where we can get signals from the brain. First off, we can put electrodes on the scalp. And maybe some of you folks have seen this, but this is EEG, or electroencephalography. This is kind of how we practically think about getting brain signals. Kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, and that's the non-invasive. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we can put what are called single unit systems. These are very small electrodes, kind of the thickness of a hair, and they monitor single neurons' action potential firing. And I'll explain what that in just a moment, but they basically monitor a single neuron's firing. And then kind of in between, again, obviously if you're sticking in the brain, it's kind of invasive. And then in between is what's called ECOG, or electrocorticography. And that's kind of an intermediate modality. And this is what I'll talk about a lot, because this is a lot of what my research is about. And this is basically taking surface from the surface of the brain without penetrating. And each of these signal modalities has some kind of pluses and minuses from brain-computer interface. Well, I'm going to talk about each of those and kind of what they mean. So first off, let's talk about the single unit system. So let's talk about the single neuron and build up from there. Okay? So first off, again, we're looking at single units, small electrodes that penetrate the brain. Most commonly, the systems have always put microelectrodes in the motor cortex, basically the part of our brain that controls our muscle movements. And again, one side of the brain controls the opposite side of the body. Now, when we take those single units, basically, again, here's what a neuron looks like. It's the body, the axon, and kind of the neuronal processes there. And this is kind of what a microelectrode or a single unit system looks compared to a neuron. Again, this is very, very small. And what it does is it records an action potential. And what that is, an action potential is a change in voltage. And again, it's a very rapid change in voltage. Again, it's an action potential. And you can almost think of this kind of like the Morse code. Kind of the action potential firing rate encodes information about what the brain wants to do. And so, for instance, I'm going to walk you through an example here. Again, I won't get too much into the kind of obscure, weird-looking science characters, but just bear with me for a moment. So this is, you saw that little kind of Morse code plot that I saw. And that's called a raster plot. Basically, the rate at which an action potential occurs. Each one of these is an action potential firing rate for a neuron. And basically, what they had in this particular experiment, this is one of the earliest ones in 1982. They had a monkey move a robotic arm. Basically, all the monkey did was basically from the center of the table, he moved this robotic arm, he moved in different directions. These are the different directions here. Kind of up, down, left, right, and kind of the corners. And they had these small electrodes monitoring neurons. And what they did is when they looked at the firing rate, what they found was that depending on which direction the monkey would move his arm, the firing rate would be different. So this neuron had what was called a preferred direction. Again, this is a neuron out of motor cortex and controlling the opposite side of the body, the monkey's arm in this example. And this curve that you see here is basically the firing rate for the given direction. And so what you can see is if you look at this, you can kind of see that when he was moving up and to the left, for this particular neuron, this particular monkey, that there's a much higher action potential firing rate here. You can kind of see that density right there. Whereas when you move to the opposite direction, barely fired at all. And so you can think of it as each neuron's voting for in motor cortex for a particular direction that they want to move their arm. And so if you put all those votes together, you can actually predict which direction the monkey wants to move his arm, actually 60 milliseconds before he actually does it. And so you can start to use those signals then for ECI control. And so here's just kind of a cartoon example. Each of these lines represents a single neuron. The length of that line represents essentially how fast is that neuron firing. You can kind of think the faster it is, the more votes it's getting for a given direction. And so let me just show you. And so again, this is kind of a skeletal representation of the monkey. And you take the average, right? And you can see that this arrow is preceding the actual direction of the arm. And this is actually taken from real data from the monkey. And so again, and this is really one of the first examples where we could know what that monkey wanted to do before he did it. So for kind of in layman's terms, you could read his mind. You could read his intentions by looking at the actual potential firing rate of the neurons. Okay? Now, if you can do that, and you can know your intentions, we can then tap into that. And then instead of controlling an arm, you can control something else. There's no reason you have to be specific about controlling your own body. Right? Because in some senses, we control stuff outside of our body all the time. We drive cars, we use machines. So there's no reason that you can't use other things with your brain besides your body. So let me show you an example of that. So here's an example of a microelectrode array that's been implanted in a monkey, and he's controlling this robotic arm to feed himself. got his eyes covered up so his little monkey buddies won't know that he's participating in this research. We have the requirement, that privacy and healthcare, so we have to respect his privacy. But again, it isn't hard to imagine that if you can start to tap into intentions, and if you imagine that somebody's paralyzed, that you can start to use technologies like this to restore function, to allow a person to re-engage with their environment by tapping into the brain directly. Does that make sense so far? I'm going to get his final bite here, and then we'll move on. Now, that was kind of one version of how we can understand what the brain is doing. But there's a lot of other ways we can do it too. And now I'm going to talk to you about how we listen to larger populations of neurons, essentially listening to the surface of the brain. And I'll show you some examples of that. So now I showed you the microelectrode. We put electrodes in. But we also, again, we can take electrodes from the surface of the brain, or we can take it from the scalp. And again, these are giving us information of how the populations of neurons are working as a whole. And again, as another analogy, you can kind of think of it as a baseball stadium. Kind of, you can be sitting in the stadium, and you can be sitting right next to one person. He can tell you how the game's going, right? Or you can be kind of still in the stadium, but maybe on the outskirts of the stadium, so you can hear the roar of the crowd. Maybe you can even hear the announcer telling you what's going on. Or you can be several blocks down, and you just hear the roar of the crowd. You know something good or something bad's happening, but you can't know the exact details. So here, we're kind of in the stadium. We can hear the announcer. Here, we're kind of sitting outside of the stadium, and we can hear the roar of the crowd. In and out. Now, again, these electrodes in different places, over top of the skull or under the skull. But basically, what you're looking at are brain waves. And those brain waves change depending on what the cortex is doing. They can either increase or decrease their amplitude. Is kind of a common example that we'll look at through the rest of the talk. So, and I want to give you an example here. And if we can switch back to the podium here for a moment, so that you can hear what's going on. I've got some sound here. So what do you hear here? Do you recognize that song? No? Well, that's because it's a number of different songs. And you can play it all at once. So, now what do you hear? Some songs, when we're playing them all together, are somewhat subtle. Can you hear that? Can you hear that now? That's Beethoven's Symphony No. 1 in C. So again, some songs are subtle. Some songs are not. This is Mozart's Symphony No. 25 in G. And some songs are different altogether. This is a little bit more modern, deep incorporation. Each song has a rhythm, it has a pace, it has an internal organization which has information. And really, in a lot of ways, the brain is exactly the same way. And so when we're putting electrodes over these populations of neurons, we're really seeing kind of the accumulation of multiple songs playing all at once. And so here's actually what a signal looks like. This is an example of an ECOG signal. Again, electrodes under the skull over the surface of the brain. And when you look at the signal, it looks, quite frankly, chaotic and junky. Like, how does this carry information? And really, the way that it carries information is that it's really the accumulation of multiple different frequencies doing different things. And each of those different frequencies represents a different neuronal population participating in processing in a different way. And so what's interesting about that is we can separate those frequencies out and we can start to parse apart. We can essentially listen to the different songs, and that we can figure out what the order and what the information is in those different songs. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Now, again, is a very kind of a thumbnail sketch of some of what some of these frequencies represent. Is kind of here's kind of a cross section of the brain, as if I kind of split it right down the middle. So kind of here's the top, here's the bottom, right side and outside. And the low frequencies, and I won't go into too much detail about them, potentially put people to sleep at 7 o'clock at night, is there's frequencies less than 30 hertz. And generally you call these low frequency bands. And they have different names. They're called the theta, the alpha, the mu, the beta. And in general, they are the cortex being modulated by deeper brain structures. They're kind of a spotlight of activity, meaning that you want to kind of engage a particular area of the brain, and your deeper brain structures are what allow you to switch that spotlight. You switch to motor, to an attentional area, to a speech area, a visual area. But again, they tend to represent general changes in the brain. Then you've got what are called gamma waves. And I like gamma waves, and we're going to talk a lot about this. These are the high frequencies of the brain. And again, they tend to represent the local cortical populations. Again, they're kind of sections in the stadium, okay? And these high frequency rhythms really can give you a lot of information about what the brain wants to do. Okay? So now there's a lot of different ways we can look at these things. I mentioned just a few moments ago we can look at amplitude changes, and that's one of the common ways. Basically, when you're looking at these frequencies, how does the amplitude, does it get bigger or smaller? And those can be indicators of cortical activation. Some other ways is what they're called phase. How do these frequencies line up? How do they come into phase or out of phase? And that's kind of how different areas of cortex coordinate with each other. As an example. We can look, again, I won't go too much of this bandwidth and covariance, how the areas co-activate together. And finally, phase power correlation. How does one frequency affect the amplitude of another frequency? Well, the way I think about this is the interaction of different physiological processes. For instance, one area of the brain affecting the activity of another area. Okay? So now that we have all these changes, we can actually use those changes, and I'm going to kind of walk you through how we use these to a brain-computer interface. Again, classically, what we look at is how amplitude changes with cortical activation. That's, for instance, again, if we look at, you can replace power for amplitude, and how big or small is the signal get over frequency. And if we can identify a power change, for instance, when you go from an amplitude like this to an amplitude like this, which is what this is representing right here, you can use that as a signal that the cortex has become active, and that cortical activation can be used to drive a person in a given direction, as an example. And I'll show you how we can use that. So, and in this particular example, this is again taken from real data. And here's what the raw signal looks like. Again, kind of superimposed songs, kind of noisy. When we do what's called a power frequency analysis, we see a specific frequency band that increases when they are imagining movement versus when they're doing nothing, rest. And we can use those differences in cognitive action, imagining movement, such as imagining opening and closing your hand versus rest, to control a person in choosing direction. And so let me show you how we do that with EEG. So again, now this is EEG, signal taken from the surface of the brain. And here's a guy with a scalp, kind of an electrode over his scalp. And again, this is simple control. Basically, moving first to right or left, depending on the cortex becomes active or not. And what he's using here in this particular example is using an imagined hand. So, again, not overwhelming, but it's control derived from the brain system. Now, to tell you a little bit about what I do, and kind of the model we've been starting to push for, is so in addition to treating brain tumors, I treat epilepsy. And it's one of the rare scenarios where you're actually putting electrodes over somebody's brain for clinical disease. And what that involves is, here's kind of an electrode array, and I put that over the surface, surgically put that over the surface of somebody's brain. The reason we do that is not for brain-computer interface experiments, it's to treat people with epilepsy. There's a certain percentage of the population have intractable epilepsy, and those seizures are coming from a certain spot that we can't find other than putting electrodes over the surface of their brain, so that when we do find it, we can take it out and treat their epilepsy. Kind of the epilepsy talk I'm going to leave for a later day, but when they have these electrodes over the surface of the brain, it really is a unique opportunity to directly measure brain signals directly from the brain. so generally when we're doing this kind of monitoring, the patients will have these arrays over their brain for about 1 to 2 weeks to give them time to have a procedure so we can do the brain mapping. But that also gives us a unique, as I said, a unique opportunity to test these signals. And this is technically econ, the electrodes beneath the skull directly from the brain surface. We can use this signal modality, potential for brain-computer interface control. And again, as I mentioned, EEG, we're standing outside the stadium, outside the skull. And really what you tend to see with EEG is these low frequencies. As I mentioned, they're the kind of spotlight, the kind of the broad climate modulation. And you can, again, see frequencies roughly up to around 40 hertz. And the reason you see them is, again, because they engage broad areas of cortex. Now, but once you start to look at signals under the skull, what you see is, again, this is UPOD here. That we start to see these changes are much more focal, meaning that there's a much more smaller population. And those smaller populations represent more specific cognitive actions. And again, one of the things we look at is power changes. Again, low frequencies, when cortex becomes active in low frequency, it decreases its amplitude, whereas high frequencies tend to increase their amplitude. And these changes in amplitude is what we use for control. Again, I'll go through quickly, but in addition to these being relatively localized in space, they're also localized in time. Meaning these cortical changes that happen, they happen relatively quickly, on the order of 10 to 50 milliseconds. So this is kind of the time here. You can see that these happen very quickly. And that's good because what we want is a quick signal. We don't want something that takes a long time to become active and a long time to go away. We want quick, focused changes in cortex. So here's an example of one of our subjects using those signals for control. Hopefully you can see that little cursor there. And he's controlling that cursor in 2 dimensions. Whenever he hits it, it turns yellow. And so, just to kind of give you a sense of reference, so with EEG, when you take electrodes and put them on the scalp, it takes around 1 to 2 weeks to get the control of yourself, kind of simple, kind of one-dimensional control. This guy is 2 days after surgery, he got that control in 30 minutes. So that's really, so from the neuroprosthetic side, that we were really excited about. That's very effective control, very quick. And again, we published both of these, and whether it be one-dimensional control or two-dimensional control, you get control very quickly using these high frequencies. So now he got bored playing that simple little kind of move the cursor around, so he actually wanted to do something different. So this is actually a nice example of him playing Space Invaders. Now, this is actually also indicating my age, because a lot of my students now don't know what Space Invaders is. I was really excited about this. But, so now you're going to see we're using signals, but he's using real movements. You're going to see him moving his hand, and he controls that camera whether it's right or left. Okay, you're going to see actually it's pretty good. And actually, as a side, and there's not so many people who can claim this record, but he's in the Guinness Book of World Records for getting playing a video game and getting the highest score. So there's not a lot of people who say they've done that, but so he's probably got a competition around, maybe 10 or 20 people. But you can see that he was able to do pretty well. But that was using real hand movements. Now I'm going to show you him doing the exact same thing. But again, it doesn't matter whether you're actually doing it or imagine doing it. We can figure that. We can know that. So here he's playing the same game, but now instead of moving his hand, he's imagining moving his hand. And we can basically get the same level of control. So again, that's just a simple example, but again, it's a human being using their thoughts to control a device. Okay? And here's another example. I think this is kind of fun because again, it doesn't matter what you're controlling, because once we can know what you're controlling, we can pretty much hook you up to anything. Here's an example where one of our kids who had an electrical leg replaced, now he's going to control this big robotic arm. Now again, when we can think about this in context, one of the reasons that non-helping patients with spinal cord injury, unfortunately, we've got a lot of war veterans these days who are missing limbs. And so one of the things that the military, and part of the reason they fund my research, is we're looking at better ways of limb prosthetics. And so again, if we can start to decode signals such as hand movements, finger movements, arm movements, we can create better prosthetics versus just the thing that was attached to your shoulder. Now, one of the things I showed you is, again, activation versus rest. to create these control signals that people can use for various different types of control. But beyond just seeing activation, we can actually know the intentions that we're thinking. And this is just, again, a simple example of that. So, again, if you remember the monkey task, where the monkey would basically take the joystick, he would move kind of backwards, forward, side to side, and we could, looking at single neurons, we could know which direction you want to move. Well, we can do that with the larger population of neurons as well. And so, again, I'll walk you through it. It's kind of some semi-boring slides. So, this is frequency versus time. The color change that you see is whether that frequency increased in amplitude or whether it decreased. If it's red, it increased in amplitude. If it's blue, it decreased. And basically what you're seeing is a time frequency plot, depending on whether you move this cursor to the left or to the right, from one electrode. Okay? And so you can see here, basically move to the left, we found that you would see increase in frequency power here, whereas when you move to the right, you would see decrease in frequency power. Kind of like that single neuron voting, that this is basically a population representation. And so if we looked at multiple different electrodes, we could once again, basically in a similar fashion, create these tuning curves that show that different areas voted by the power change at certain frequencies. And so that we could then know, kind of in a similar fashion, these single unit experiments, looking at single neurons, looking at these large populations, we can actually also predict where you want to move. And let me show you an example of that. So this is kind of a busy slide. It's a busy movie, right? So I'll just kind of walk you through it. Whoops. So what you see here is these red and blues are the increases and decreases in these high frequency powers in different areas of the brain. The black here is the actual movement. Green is predicted. And you can see we actually don't do a bad job, but we can actually predict basically from these populations of neurons where you're moving the joystick as you basically move around the circuit. So again, we can not only, on the single neuron level, but also on the population level, we can take signals from the human brain, and we can know actually ahead of time what you're doing from the motor standpoint. We can know where you want to move the arm. We can decode your intentions. Now, but beyond decoding motor movements, we also want to decode speech, and I'm going to show you some examples of that as well. So again, we're looking at these frequency changes. Now it gets a little bit more complex. So here's an example of, again, grid for one of our patients, or it's a cartoon movie. And you're going to see these little blue squares here. And they represent, again, time frequency, kind of like I just showed you. Frequency on the y-axis, time on the x-axis here. Again, the color changes are power changes for very specific frequency. And what I'm going to walk you through is, we had the patient say different words. And if they were A words or U words, we found, for instance, found a very specific change in the specific frequency band in this electrode, which wasn't there when they said A words versus A words, or A words versus U words, or E words versus A words. So we can start to distinguish different phonemes that we were saying. Actually, I don't actually have this slide here with me, which we brought it, but we can actually, we're up to, I think we can figure out 9 concepts that we can say before vowels that you can say. And we're actually putting that together so we can actually figure out what words you're saying based on the brain activity that we recorded. And so now here's an example. We can use that for device control. What you can see here is, and again, she's not doing much, but she's imagining saying ooh or ah. And this is actually without any training. She just started. Now she said she's imagining saying ah. There we go. Now she's imagining saying ooh. She's moving that way. And actually, when you ask her, like, well, what are you doing? She's like, well, I'm going ooh, 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 ooh. You know, you go, bounce it over. I'm saying ah, 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 ah. You're right. I think this is her one mistake out of 33. So do that. So now we can use imagined motor movements, or we can use imagined speech to control a device. Now, and again, one of the things I want to underline is that these and this is kind of a busy slide too, just bear with me, is that we can know kind of based on the frequency profile, and not only whether you're hearing something, speaking something, reading something, or speaking something, depending on what you heard or saw, that they all have different frequency profiles. So these different frequency profiles really give us a lot of different powerful information so that we can really know pretty much what you're saying and heard and what you saw. And we're actually making our electrical arrays very small. So this is around 5 millimeters, so it's roughly about the size of my pinky. And from 16 electrodes, for instance, we can, from very small arrays, we can actually, this is kind of an example of an activation, once again, we're separating blue versus off. And this is a fun one where she's actually talking out loud. So this is from electrodes that are a millimeter spaced apart. I don't know if you can hear that. So what's nice about this example is that the electrode arrays that we would envision don't have to be these huge grids that are 8 centimeter diameter that covers the blood swamp cortex. They can actually be very, very small. And then by looking at these different frequencies complexes, again, the different songs that we're listening to, can give us all the information that we from a very small area of the cortex. So the implant would be very, very small. It's kind of the point of that. So what are we thinking? So where are we in the near future? Well, I think that in the near future, we're looking at something that can give you simple device control. So, for instance, people who are quadriplegic, people who have, whether it be because of ALS or spinal cord injury, I think we're going to be able in the near future to give them the ability to move a cursor around the screen and click. Such as, and technically, it's two-dimensional control with click. So, how useful is that? Well, if any of you have, here I'll show you an example of good 2D with click function. If any of you have an iPhone, that's 2D with a click. And you can create all sorts of apps, you can create all sorts of interesting things with 2D with a click. And for somebody who's severely motor impaired, that's a significant functional improvement. So now I'm going to take you in a different direction. I'm going to show you how we can use some of our techniques to help patients with brain tumors. So now, instead of following the signals out and what we can do with them, I'm going to follow the signals in and show you how we use that for better brain surgery and better brain health. So some of the areas I worry about when I'm doing surgery is what we call eloquent cortex. And eloquent cortex is the most common referred to as motor cortex and speech cortex. Those are two areas that can substantially alter your quality of life. So for instance, if you can't move one side of your body, if you can't understand speech or produce speech, you've got some real problems interacting with the world. Okay? And so when tumors are associated with those areas, let me show you some kind of where those areas are. So this is speech cortex. This is technically called the Wernicke's area. That's the area that's responsible for understanding speech. So when words come in, you process that to be semantic content or what that word means. And that's kind of the area greatly localized where how you understand what it means. But a different area is actually involved with producing speech, and that's called Broca's area. That's what it is. Again, technically this is frontal lobe and this is temporal lobe. And one good way to think about the brain is if you kind of make a fist. Basically, your thumb is the temporal lobe, and kind of your front part of your fist right there from your knuckle down is your frontal lobe. And so those two areas are critical for speech function. And another area, kind of between kind of Broca's area, between one and the other area, is this kind of long strip here. That's motor cortex. And that's, again, the area that controls the opposite side of your body. So, the reason we use brain mapping is to preserve these areas, most especially speech areas, because again, like that is a substantial function of us. So again, diagnosis we're commonly using brain mapping. I won't get into too much detail. Primary gliomas, these are tumors primarily that come from the brain. Metastatic tumors that come from some other part of the body that go to the brain, or seizure growth, as I mentioned with the invasive monitoring. So we can take out the misbehaving part of the brain and preserve the function. So let's just walk through an example here. So this is a patient I saw, 48 years old, right-handed part. She had a 2-month history of increased difficulty speaking. She couldn't find the right words. She had difficulty understanding speech. She said, when I read, the words don't seem to make sense, and I've been having headaches for a month. So some of this isn't medically HX history of HA headache. And PE, physical exam. So she had difficulty with word finding following complex exam, following complex commands. So for instance, if I asked her, take the thumb, touch the left ear, she just couldn't put that together. Again, technical term, right line, seminosia. A lot of her visual field was missing. So, for instance, if I was kind of like, put my fingers in different areas of her visual area, she couldn't see kind of on the right side. So when we got an MRI, what we saw, and kind of this is obvious, I think most people, is that we see this kind of very abnormal. And here's the front, the back, right side, and the left side. And speech is predominantly located on the left side. Again, if you remember those two areas, this is kind of really right smack dab next to her lung position. Hence the reason she could understand speech. So now we have a lot of tools in our available to us these days, which I think have really changed how we practice nursery. We've got functional MRIs, which allow us to look for cortical activation. And here's an example where her motor area was. And we have what's called stereotactic navigation, so that while we're doing the surgery, I can actually have kind of a 3D map that helps guide me to know exactly where I am inside her head and inside her brain. But more specifically, kind of the reason, one of the things that I kind of do quite a bit these days is doing what are called awake craniotomies and brain mapping. And hopefully you've all had dinner and you're okay with seeing the surgical picture, right? And what this involves is, kind of while we have the brain exposed, that there's a portion of the case where we'll wake the patient up, use that microphone next to her mouth, and we actually have her do various tasks such as talking and moving her arms and legs. And I'll use cortical stimulation, that's kind of this little wand here, where I'll send pulses of electrical currents through the surface of the brain to essentially do a practice, try to disrupt function. Because what I'll do is, I'll have her talk, she'll be naming objects, and I'll stimulate it. And if I can stop her from naming, that means that area is critical for speech function, or in the case of movements, motor function. This, however, this is, I'd like to say that this is kind of advanced technology. It's been around since about the 60s. So, but we're really pushing kind of mapping forward in a lot of ways, because in addition to stimulating, essentially you've got to go one spot at a time. And also with stimulating, putting the pulse of the current in, you run the risk of inducing a seizure, so you can mess up your mapping. But by nurse circumstances, this is some of the state of the art. But one of the things that we're doing, I'm going to skip over that for a second, is, again, now, as I mentioned, this decoding, we can listen to it. I can know, like, decoding brain activity by looking at these different frequencies, exactly where function's coming from. And so I can actually do it much more rapidly, and much more effectively and safely. So instead of stimulating, what we do is we put these broad electric arrays, kind of like we do with blue rays. And we can actually record brain activity, and in real time, watch their areas of the brain activate during surgery. Let me show you an example of that. So, patients right here. This is actually what they're seeing. Basically, there's a screen in front of them, and this is what they see. Tell them to stop and relax. Easier said than done. And these dots that you see here, these are the areas of the brain that are lighting up as he's moving. Those are hand areas. Now I'm going to ask him to move his tongue. think kind of how to put this idea of decoding brain activity on the level of a lot of the great science projects that have been affected this century. So if you think about like the lunar exploration, that was a big project. That took a lot to do. But by taking this to the moon, that really led to really kind of the advancement of technology that affects us to this day, whether it be computers, internet, jet propulsion, satellite telecommunication, and modern materials. I didn't put the tang on it, right? And when you look at it today, we're just now really starting to see some early changes to medicine with decoding the human genome. Again, whether it be novel molecular infectious diagnostics and therapeutics, biotechnology, bioinformatics, individual risk assessment, and really personalized medicine. Because again, and that's really coming out of this bioinformatics approach of understanding the information in our genes. And I would argue that basically this neurocode, understanding how the brain codes information, has the ability to really change how we think about a lot of things. So vastly more efficient person-to-person communication. If I can know what thoughts you're generating, and there's no reason that I can't project my thoughts to somebody else's thoughts directly. Seamless human-machine interactions. It'd be nice if you could control your computer on your PC with your thoughts instead of your fingers. It'd be more efficient. As we understand the brain, again, treatment of a number of different psychiatric and neurological disorders, restoring function that's lost by things like stroke. And fundamentally, if we understand how the brain organizes information, there's no reason we can't do it artificially. And that's where I think that we're going to see some real breakthroughs in artificial intelligence. So, let me finish off with kind of a quote that was from 1972. 7 quarters later, they were having extended follow-ups, and the constant pong noises attracting the curiosity of others at the bar. Before closing, everybody in the bar had played the game. The next day, people were lined up outside handicaps at 10 a.m. to play pong. After 10 o'clock that night, the game suddenly died. The machine coin container was full. People in 1972 were lining up to play pong. That's amazing. Now, in 2005, this is a video game from Xbox, which, whatever. This is a part of normal everyday life. And when you think about it, kind of where we're at, we're playing kind of the equivalent of Pong right now, with our brains. And I think that 30 years from now, really, in a lot of ways, brain-computer interface technology and kind of what we can envision, as part of the funnel, would be beyond our imagination. So I think it's an exciting time to be part of this, because I think that